This is for Renee Nicole Good, a name that should have belonged to a future. Ordinary, private, unremarkable in the best possible way. A name that should never have been spoken in mourning, never turned into evidence of a nation's failure to protect its own people. This is for a woman who was murdered, not in some distant land ruled by chaos, but here, inside a country that constantly reminds the world it is a beacon of law, order, and moral leadership. A country that insists it is exceptional, even as it allows the exceptional to become cruel. And this is for the truth, because the truth is being suffocated. We are living through a time when lies are not whispered, but delivered confidently from podiums. When a vice president stands before cameras and denies reality without hesitation. When language is weaponized to make the unacceptable sound routine and the illegal feel inevitable. We are told we are not at war. We are told this is necessary. We are told international law is outdated, optional, inconvenient. And yet, borders are crossed. Lives are lost. A sovereign nation is violated. The rules that were meant to prevent global collapse are treated like suggestions, discarded the moment they limit ambition. The message sent to the world is unmistakable. Power has replaced principle. And then comes the most dangerous demand of all, that we trust the personal morality of a man who has proven, beyond reasonable doubt, that morality is not among his qualifications. A man with criminal convictions. A man accused of acts so disturbing they should permanently disqualify him from moral authority. A man who has demonstrated contempt for the vulnerable and reverence only for himself. If this is the compass guiding the most powerful country on earth, then we are not being led. We are being dragged. This is not an abstract concern. This is not political theory. This is about real bodies, real fear, real consequences. This moment is for Renee, and it is for every American who feels unsettled tonight, for those who sense, deep in their bones, that something fundamental is breaking, for parents watching their children sleep and wondering what kind of country they will inherit, for people who feel terror creeping into spaces that once felt safe. I am one of them. I love this country, not as a slogan, not as propaganda, but as a fragile promise handed down through struggle and sacrifice. And what we are witnessing now does not honor that promise. It distorts it. It betrays it. And still inside this room, the lights shine brightly. Awards are announced with practiced enthusiasm. Applause erupts on cue. Jokes land. Satire dances dangerously close to denial. We congratulate ourselves for cleverness while the ground beneath us trembles. Trophies are handed out for editing, while the truth itself is carved into something easier to swallow. Media institutions pat themselves on the back as public trust erodes. Laughter fills the air, but it feels disconnected. Like music playing while smoke seeps under the door. Some wear pins. Some call it solidarity. Others dismiss it as performance. And hovering above it all is the uncomfortable question no one wants to answer. Is any of this enough? One speaker jokes about boycotting this very ceremony for nearly a decade, a silent protest so invisible it changed nothing. He laughs about old grudges, about awards that went to the wrong films. The audience laughs with him, relieved to return to something familiar. Humor becomes anesthesia. But history does not stop because we are uncomfortable. In just 10 years, the world has been rewritten. A pandemic exposed how fragile our systems really are. Democracy became something we debate in the past tense. Inequality widened into a chasm. Truth became negotiable. And cruelty, once disqualifying, became a strategy. And yet, the show goes on. Until it can't. Because some moments refuse to be ignored. A woman was murdered in the streets of America. People were shot where they sat, in their cars, in their daily routines. Communities are now shadowed by militarized forces that inspire fear instead of trust. This is not safety. This is not justice. This is control masquerading as order. People are drowning economically. Rent is impossible. Food prices climb. Insurance feels fictional. Healthcare feels conditional. Education feels like a privilege reserved for the lucky. Families are forced to make choices no one should have to make. None of this makes us safer. None of this makes us stronger. None of this makes America better. If it did, if the suffering had meaning, if it led to peace or stability, we could at least debate it honestly. But it doesn't. It only concentrates power and multiplies pain. So we arrive at the question everyone avoids because the answer threatens those in charge. What do we actually do? The truth is painfully simple. Most Americans want the same basic things. They want a little peace, a little sunlight, the reassurance that their children will survive, not just exist, but thrive. They want safety without terror, opportunity without humiliation, dignity without fear. But their voices are drowned out because power no longer flows from the bottom up. Congress is captured. The Senate is paralyzed. Corporate interests dictate outcomes. Billionaires profit from division, while ordinary people are pushed into conflict with one another. We are distracted. We are divided. We are exhausted. And that exhaustion is not accidental. It is engineered. The solution is not more punishment. It is not more enemies. It is not more spectacle. The solution is radical only because it has been abandoned. Put working people at the center of everything, not rhetorically, not symbolically, materially. And while we're here, let's destroy another convenient myth. Hollywood is not an isolated elite. It is a collection of outsiders, immigrants, children of laborers, people raised in public schools, small towns, foreign countries, and circumstances that demanded resilience. People born in cabins, apartments, other continents, other languages. Remove them, and what remains is emptiness, endless violence packaged as entertainment, noise without reflection, spectacle without humanity. Actors have one real job: to step into lives unlike their own and allow us to feel empathy, to remind us that other people's pain is real. This year, many performances did that with grace, but the most devastating performance did not come from a screen. It came from real life. It was the moment a powerful man mocked a disabled reporter, someone with less power, less privilege, and no way to fight back. It was not accidental. It was not misunderstood. It was deliberate, and it worked. It made people laugh. It made cruelty acceptable. It gave permission. When humiliation is modeled by power, it spreads. When bullying is rewarded, it becomes policy. When leaders punch down, society absorbs the lesson. Disrespect multiplies. Violence escalates. And everyone pays the price. Which brings us, inevitably, to the press. A free press is not decoration. It is defense. It exists to confront power, to expose lies, to demand accountability, and to refuse silence when silence becomes complicity. That is why its freedom was enshrined in the foundation of this country. Because without it, democracy does not collapse loudly. It fades quietly. We need journalists who refuse intimidation. We need institutions that prioritize truth over access. We need courage, not comfort. So let this moment be more than applause. Let it be resolve. Stand with those who protect journalists. Support those who defend truth. Because the future will demand it, from them and from us. And if we fail them, we will not just lose information. We will lose the last defense against unchecked power. And when that happens, the promise of America does not end in one dramatic moment. It disappears, slowly, quietly, and permanently.